And he got hold of 10 million quid from some Greek investors and started a company. And even with all that money, he was shocked at how expensive it was, how the moment you're starting out, it's just you're writing checks every day. And he said, Rory, it's just like organising your own wedding. And he was just organising his third wedding at the time. He was only about 42. And he's still married to a happily 10 years old. But the more ambitious it is, the more it's going to cost. So just know that. So if I can just summarise this by asking you to read that. Two words I pick out there. First one is trial. Very, very important if you've got something new. People need to be able to try it out. I do a lot of work with law firms who just say, well, you can't try our stuff. You just have to trust us. Absolute nonsense. The number one page of any law firm website, apart from the home page, is the biographies. Of course it is. And yet, most of them haven't got biographies. The other thing they can do is just give us a bit of law. And with Law Donut, we're doing that. But before Law Donut, we were already saying, look, just if you want to win the employment law work, just give us some free advice with your name and your photo and make it human, get it away from law and make it, real for us. And then you can try a law firm and just whatever your business is. And I've got a business school, foster facilitating, so facilitating parents getting into fostering, web design and accountancy training were the four I spoke to just before I stood up here. If there's a way of giving people a trial, it helps. The other word I love there is charm. You can call it startup charm or small business charm. The one thing that we've got over huge companies like Sage is that we are small, and if you go along and you're enthusiastic, people will want to help you. And the guy I always think of is another Steve, who was a scaffolder in London, and I met him at some fancy drinks to at a firm of accountancy. He was obviously making a lot of money, but it was extraordinary. There cannot be a more enthusiastic scaffolder in the world, and if I ever had a need for scaffolding in London, I would seek out that guy, because he loved his customers, and he loved scaffolding, and he loved the fact that everyone loved him, and every job was perfect and on time and cleaned up and all those things. But that's what we've got. The guys that do well have got that life and enthusiasm about them. So that is my reality check to start with. If we can now whiz through evaluation. Now, I thought we'd have a lot more accountants in here, so I would really whiz. I'll slow down slightly. When I watch people starting businesses, I watch them obsess about the product. They take it out every night and stroke it and polish it. It's all very well, but it's the wrong thing. You want to be obsessing about how your market works, what your customers want, how they make their purchasing decisions, and the numbers, the boring numbers. And I think you'll know the system I will now use for the numbers. It's a 4-stage process for sales, very simple, and we can all do it for whatever our business is. So we start with how many target customers can I contact every week. And if you're a one-man band, maybe to start with, before you get stuck with all the work, you can do 20 hours of selling a week. So if they're one-to-one meetings, maybe by the time you've done your lead generation, set up the meeting, done a follow-up, you could do 10 a week if you're lucky. Well, that's it. That's your universe. Next question, what percentage of those will turn into sales? If you have got a wacky, novel thing, good luck. Incredibly hard to sell. If you've got a Me Too thing, maybe impossible. So what we're all after is an existing market, an existing user base where we've got something that is significantly better than the other people. And if you're selling to businesses, it has to be a lot better, because they are loyal to the guy that was selling to them before you arrived. And they've probably been with him for years, they've been drinking, and they've supported each other in bad times. So, quite hard to shift those people. Now, next question. How much repeat business will you get? And if you haven't got any in your plan, then I would say think again. A classic for this is the web design people like Cat. You can be a brilliant web designer and you do a brilliant job, and then you've got to go and find the next one, but you were so busy doing the first one. It's very hard. It's like a bit like doing bespoke furniture. Incredibly hard. And then suddenly you have a gap in your order book, but you've still got your premises and your staff and all your commitments. You know, your broadband 3-year deal because it was so expensive to do 1 year and all that stuff. So we all want to try and get what I call a tail on sale, and I'll give you a good example of a tail on sale. I bought some software, I bought some CRM software database, and let's say we paid 10k for the software, and we paid 10k for these guys to come in and do all the work and get the data and upload it. And the deal always was that when I paid the final invoice, they would give me a 500-page manual. I'm very big on manuals. And I thought that's a good, I like that. I like mechanisms for making people pay. So personally, we raise our prices 10%, and then we give them a 10% discount for paying in 30 days. We have brilliant cash flow, and a lot of our big customers are pretty lazy, and they might pay on 35 days. They don't mind. I mean, somewhere along the line, it's not in someone's interest to bother paying on time. So we make an extra 10%. I highly recommend that to you. But these guys did it with a manual. So we got the manual, and we opened the manual, and it was a piece of you-know-what. Absolutely rubbish. So guess what? We paid another 10k per year for a support contract with these guys. And that's the way software works. That's the way they get their tail on the sale. And it's no coincidence that that manual was unusable unless you were one of them. As it happened, we stopped using them because they weren't very good. But it was the business approach was sound, I thought. And then lastly, the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle, how much is your average sale worth? Another story there which I won't go into. But again, if you've got little amounts of money, if you're a shop, it's great. People walk in, they give you cash up front, the cash flow works. All those little bits add up to a big thing. But if you are not a shop and you are selling little things, it's incredibly hard to make money. So, taking those four together, you've got a sales forecast. You can then work out your costs. Pretty straightforward. And then the thing that interests me as a survival person is cash flow. So yes, we have profit and loss and you have break even, but really where it's at is cash flow. And when do you get cash positive? And on particular projects, when do you get cash positive? And when you do get cash positive, hallelujah, it is so nice. And until the moment you do get cash positive, you've got a funding requirement every month. You add up all those months, and that's how much money you've somehow got to get hold of. So it's a very simple and logical process. And that's how I would summarise that. So it's just about facing reality and being patient, and it's about building a business, building a reputation, building a track record. And I meet a lot of people who are allergic to numbers. I meet young entrepreneurs who are completely up themselves, who are so cool that they don't need to do the numbers because they're going to be so successful anyway. Well, they just aren't. The guys, when I was in venture capital, you could just tell that the boys from the grown-up, the children from the grown-ups, the grown-ups could be as creative and wonderful as you like. They still had the numbers, and they knew their numbers, and the numbers are just a way of describing a story and saying whether you're going to be successful or not. So very, very important, I think. I'm very lucky to have a very professional chairman called Andrew Brody, and every single board meeting with Andrew is the same thing. All he's interested in is quality revenue streams. And by that he means steady, ongoing, reliable. In 5 years we'll still have that thing. It means contracts basically. And playing to your strengths. So my strengths are small business content and technology. We've added lots of technology. Without that, we would